I think this is going to be sort of a continuation with the last one, but this is less going after the papacy and just matter modern, like, Anglo-British classism as well, which personally I think it has its roots, like I've said before, in the Norman conquest. But it's funny, you kind of look at our founding fathers, who, in all honesty, are pretty mid. Like, there's plenty of other people from American history I prefer more. But, like, people like Jefferson would say, oh, this is the Anglo-Saxons are retaking back their rights from their British Norman yoke. We're breaking away with it, and that was bullshit. We never really have. We never braked with the classism of Britain, of the Norman yoke, which really this over time got replaced by merchant tyranny. So it was like we've never truly have, and you can just look at just like look at the colonies, like look how the British would use term like, oh, we're just throwing away our waste people. We have no use for them. Like, nothing about that is Christian whatsoever, because in the eyes of God, we're all God's children. So how can you be Christian and then say look down on the poor and downtrodden, and look at them as nothing more than waste people where you can just go throw away to some of your colonies, and if they die, who cares? And many of these indentured servants, a lot of them were children. So no, I don't think we've ever truly, and the fact that the word white trash still exists, that existed in the South. And let me tell you something, this is, in regards to Civil War, like, I respect my ancestors who fought. Most of them fought for the South. But at the same time, I really do not like the plantation cavalier elite of the southern United States. And I hold that plantation elite responsible for much of the poverty here, as well as responsible for the war, half of it at least. The other half, I believe that the northern kind of radical, hardcore abolitionists who believed the only way that slavery would be gone rid of is through bloodshed. I also blame them as well. If anything, I really describe myself as a bit of a Jacksonian Democrat in some way. I think I'll lean more with that, maybe mixed with some Whig ideas. But I would have preferred that the war never happened, but here we are. And it's something, but you just look how the classism that existed in the antebellum South, which was just a continuation of the classism of Britain, as well as the classism against poor whites in New England, in the Northeast. And then you go further with that, like even during the 1890s in Virginia, like we will hear stories about how, eugenics program was going after women of color. That's 100% true. But they also went after poor white women and to sterilize them, because being poor was considered a genetic disorder. Not because you fell in hard times. It was considered there was something genetically wrong with you. So no, like, this attitude is like, is baked. If like white supremacy and racism is baked in American society, then surly classism and a hatred of poor whites is as well. And it most certainly is. In this country has never broken from that. We didn't, this wasn't, we didn't like create some perfect Anglo-Saxon republic. We never broke with the bullshit of Norman England. We never did. It still lives on. And one of the brutal ironies of, let's say, the Civil War is that the yeoman class, who they weren't the white trash, they're a class above the white trash. They were the middling, independent, land-owning farmers, but they weren't the plantation owners and slave owners either. They were like in the middle. So many of these farmers at the war, fighting, lost their land, and they come back to see northern carpetbaggers selling their land to plantation owners, and then they're forced to become sharecroppers, along with newly freed blacks. So no, like if you want to tell the founding fathers were liars and they were hypocrites, if you want me to tell you my favorite Americans, I'll tell you. It will have to be, if we're going pre-revolution colonial times, Nathaniel Bacon and James Oglethorpe. And then after revolution, probably Andrew Jackson, James K. Polk. And then later in the 20th century, I would say Huey P. Long, as well as what's it say? I do, and this is a kind of controversial thing, but post-racist George Wallace actually had some good policies. Like after the assassination and he turned his back on white supremacy, George Wallace had a good progressive policies for the state of Alabama that benefited both poor whites and poor blacks. But sadly, that got replaced with Reaganite bullshit. So yeah, I just don't even know where I stand. Ultimately, yes, I do believe, like or not, like my identity is as a Southerner. At the end of the day, I still believe the three root, I guess, races of the South is the lowland Scottish Covenanter, the Cavalier, and the black African slave. So, peace out.